The fourth skill is understanding the art of sales. So how does it actually work? We've spoken about the science. Now let's talk about the art. You can't improve something until you actually understand it. And most of you, if I was to ask you, what are the exact steps in your sales process? You'd probably know them, but do you have them written down? And most importantly, does everyone in your team or in your company or even your assistant, would they be able to write down the exact same steps that you wrote down in the exact same order? Then, let's say there's 7 generic steps. How often do you work on each step in terms of getting it better? Is anyone doing it, working on each one of the 7 steps regularly? So let's look here quickly. This is what most people do. They basically, at the top here, the first one is establishing rapport, trust and respect. The second one is finding a need. The third one is building value. The fourth one is creating desire. The fifth one is overcoming objections. The sixth one is closing a sale. And most people forget to follow up. Now, interestingly enough, the proportion of time that people spend as well is directly proportional to that. So, you get the clients and you deal with them and you just try and sell them something. You deal with their objections and you try and sell them something. Now, I'm not saying you all do that, but interestingly enough, that's what most sales people do. So, who here would like to see some magic? You've already put your hand up. You guys would like to see some magic. For those of you, Alexia, I think you've seen this before. Can you keep your mouth shut? Who here knows cards? Cards. Playing cards. Playing cards. Who's good at cards? Anyone? You're good at cards. Fantastic. Right. How many cards are there in a pack? 52. Okay. There's 52 if you take out the 2 jokers. Are you happy you know cards? Now, I've got a quick question for you. What are the chances of me picking the right card out of 52? 1 in 52, which is what? 2% roughly. What did we show you earlier at the top of the pyramid? 2 or 3%? It's pretty much, again, a metaphor for life. When we phone 100 people, only 2 of them are interested. When we put an ad out, 100 flyers, only 2 of them pick it up. So it's a pretty good metaphor for life. So let's play a game. What I'd like you to do, I'm going to ask you questions. I just want you to answer the question. Don't try and think about what I'm trying to ask you. Just answer the question. You happy with that? Okay. So we've got 52 cards. We've got red and we've got black. Pick one. Red. Well done. You're getting this. This man does know his cards. That's fantastic. So now we've got the reds. So with the reds, we've got the hearts and we've got the diamonds. Pick one. Diamonds. What does that leave us with? Hearts or diamonds? Oh, yeah. What does it leave us with? The hearts. Fantastic. So now, in the hearts, we've got the pictures, the kings, the queens, the jacks, and we've got the numbers. Pick one.
Pictures.
The pictures. What does that leave us with? The numbers. Fantastic. So in the numbers, we've got the odd numbers, and we've got the even numbers. Pick one.
Odd.
Nice, bugger. You really are. This man knows his cards, so we could play a bit of rummy, whatever. So in the odd numbers, we've got the low numbers. Let's call it 1, 3, 5. And we've got the high numbers, 7 and 9. Pick high or low.
High.
Awesome. Fantastic. So we've got the high numbers now. We've basically got 7 and we've got 9. Pick one.
7.
What does that leave us with? So you basically ended up at the 9 of hearts. Could you do me a favor quickly and just make that go to the next screen? Now, is it not a metaphor for sales? The client is under my care, guidance, and protection. I know that it's good for him to get to the 9 of hearts. There's 52 options, but I know that I want to get to him. So remember we spoke this morning about the GPS. You've got to know where you start off, and you've got to know where you want to get to. So two things that I wanted to mention there that are very, very important. Firstly, I never gave him the answer. I always asked him. So like if I try and sell you something, then you feel like you're being sold to. Versus if I get you to tell me you want it, it's a completely different story. Did you see? So asking the right questions. Secondly, I got him to get there by just asking questions. So in any sales process, you should have at least 6 questions that each and every one of you in your company is asking, and it's the same 6 questions for your company. And everyone should know those 6 questions. Literally, I say, right, what are the 6 questions? You should know, boom, those are the 6 questions. Because they're getting you from where you are to where you want to be. It's so simple when you know how to do it.
It's simple when you do it like that, but when you show a client 10 houses and you have to do that kind of, you can't really.
I disagree with you. Because when you're showing a client 10 houses, and you actually said it right up front, your first thing that you're looking to do is get them in the car, understand what their needs are and what they're looking to achieve. Once you've got that, you can line up the property that suits their requirements best. It shouldn't be spray and pray.
I can do that, but I mean, they still have the choice.
They do have the choice, but again, it's leading them in the direction. Remember when that client is under your care, guidance, and protection? I know that the 9 of hearts, which happens to be a house in Waterkloof, blah, 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 is the right house for you. I need to take you there. What most of us in sales do is we've got a whole option of things, and it's like spray and pray. Right, here are all my houses, pick one. You know? Or whatever it is. It can be hunting, it can be IT, it can be whatever. The difference is we've got to analyze that client so that we know exactly what that client's looking at. Now, there's a whole thing on consultative selling that we'll cover at a later stage as part of that pack. But the guy sums it up, and I love it. He basically says there's 2 relationships. We can have a poker player, so you and me, like we play poker, and I hold all my cards close to my chest and I don't tell you anything. Okay? Or we can have a doctor relationship. Now, when you walk into your doctor, and he says, please, tell me, what is wrong. You go, I'm not telling you. I'm going to shop around and find the best doctor with the cheapest commission before I tell you anything. Does it ever happen? It doesn't. It's because they're under your care, guidance, and protection. They trust you. So they open up and literally tell you everything. So that's your first thing. It's got to be one of your questions, part of your 6 things, to get the information out of the client. Once you've got that information out and you know where that client is, you can then lead him to the 9 of hearts or her. The guy actually talks about it in his name's Andy Miller. He talks about it. It's a fantastic analogy. And someone actually asked him a question. They said, well, what happens if the client is playing their cards close to their chest? If you've built that whole rapport that you're the expert, and I'm sitting with you, and the client is literally holding a cards close to chest, you literally have to say something along the lines of, look, sir, this can go 2 ways, or look, ma'am, this can go 2 ways. We can play poker, or we can have a doctor relationship. I can only help you if I understand what it is you're looking to achieve. If I understand all your problems, what your concerns are. If I understand all of that, then I can help you. If you don't want to play that game, and you want to play poker with me, I can't help you. I think we should call it quits right now. Hannes teaches us 7 minutes to build rapport, 7 minutes to build trust. Most salespeople spend our whole lives, like half an hour, trying to build friendships. How was the rugby? Did you like the cricket? Blah, 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 blah. Only to get an hour later down the line, we build no trust, no rapport. Then we drive them around, spray and pray them. It doesn't matter if it's a product or a service, and hope like hell someone buys. Versus taking 7 minutes, asking the right questions, literally building rapport and respect straight away, then taking them through the education process so that you are the logical conclusion. It's just which one of your products. That's the mindset in terms of where you are. Always remember the card trick. I do it all the time in offshore sales. I start knowing, like we had a client who unfortunately hasn't actually bought through us, but it was classic. I wish I'd recorded the interview. Because I did my research on him before I went there, and I knew that he wanted to buy a house and land, like a plot and plan, like in this country, plot and plan. But I started off with an apartment in the CBD of Perth. I was like, oh, this is awesome, and it's got this, and it's got that, and blah, 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 knowing that he didn't want that. And then I was like, oh, but some people don't want apartments. Like they would like to have a house in the suburbs, 4-bedroom, that if they ever moved to Oz, they could live in, blah, blah, blah. He goes, that's exactly what I want. I was like, yeah, mate, I knew that. But that's why I didn't start with that. I started with the apartments. Do you know what I mean? And to be honest, he will buy. I guarantee it. He's trying to sell a property here that's fallen through and blah, blah, blah. But it's just exactly that. It's like what, so you might go and show them a few options knowing that they're going to actually buy, because, and again, that's why I don't think this is manipulation. It's that client who's under your care, guidance, and protection. You're just helping them get to the 9 of hearts. And the one guy said as well, which I love, help a person make a decision sometimes. Because take them out of the agony. They've been shopping around for a house for 3 months, 6 months, a year. Take them out of the flipping agony. Just get them to sign and go over the line and be happy they bought a house. Seriously. Or whatever the product is, IT, hunting, it doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? In terms of where they are. So, Just in terms of where you are, you should spend 40% of your time building that rapport up front. You should spend another 20% of your time finding the need, building value, creating desire. Overcoming objections should just happen naturally once you've educated them. Closing the sale. You actually don't even have to close. It just becomes the logical conclusion. Honestly, tell me if I'm wrong, Kristen, what we do we ever actually really close the sale? Pretty much it's the client like saying to us, right, I'm ready, I want to buy this. Do you know what I mean, in terms of where we are? Because you're not going to persuade a person who's investing overseas, 4 million rand plus. You're not going to hard sell them, I guarantee you, you're just not. And it's the same in everything else. So you take them through the process, they're ready, they trust you, they're like, right, pick one for me, boom, we go. And then my thing is, how much do you actually work on all of these? Because each one's a skill. So right, how are we going to build rapport? Well, that's your core story. Educating, taking them through, why should I come with you versus go on any other tour? Do you know what I mean, in terms of where you are? Does it make sense? Finding the need. That's your 6 questions. You've got to have at least 6 questions that you ask each and every time, just like I did with the card trick, so that I know that I'm getting you back to the point of where I want you. And one of them, particularly in property, has got to be an affordability question. You've got to work out quite quickly how much that person earns, what they qualify for, because it's pointless taking them out to look at 20 million rand houses when they can afford a 400,000 rand apartment. So, what would it mean to your business if you got just 10% better at each one of these steps? And then lastly, just an exercise. Just quickly jot it down. It doesn't have to be perfect, but what do you think those 6 questions should be? There was a guy in Australia that we dealt with. He actually taught me this a long time ago. He was much more thorough, much more what you would call a hard salesman. But he actually said to people, he said, right, tell me the things that would stop you buying this property today. And you write them all down. He said, if I can resolve these for you today, would you be prepared to buy it today? Like make them make a commitment. Them thinking that they wouldn't be able to be resolved. He would resolve them, say, right, here's the piece of paper, sign. And he was doing like 6 sales a month, which by Australian standards is really good. And I said to him, how are you doing it? And he told me, I don't quite like the approach. I think it's too hard, too direct, because that's the same person will walk away later, blah, blah, blah. But it's still the same principle. It's the 6 questions, right? Trying to understand their needs, trying to understand their concerns, and then dealing with those, through the process. We do it in our core story. We've got 5 major areas, as I've already said to you. I don't necessarily bother someone with all 5 of them in the core story, but if they tell me they're really worried about, shouldn't bring this name up, but Malema, okay, or whatever, I will drop Malema into the conversation quite regularly through the process. I just will. It's his pain point. And then I will show him, why he needs to do it, or she needs to do it, blah, blah, blah. Or, whatever it is. Do you see what you understand, but you've got to ask the questions up front so that you're not just trying to sell them something, you're actually teaching them in terms of where you are.